This one is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Sending My Future Sister-in-Law to My Future Mother-in-Law's Place After She Refused to Pay for the Wedding Cake Samples She and Her Friends Ate? Okay. Trying to get it straight in my head. All right. Let's figure it out. I, 27 female, and my fiance, Leo, 27 male, decided to let my FSIL, future sister-in-law. God. There's too many acronyms in Reddit stories. I can't keep them all straight. Words are hard enough as it is, okay? I need a key over here of all the acronyms that are used in Reddit stories. The F for future. That's the one that throws me off. Dear God. I, 27 female, and my fiance, Leo, 27 male, decided to let my future sister-in-law, Maya, 32 female, stay at our house because she needed space from her husband due to some relationship struggles they're having. Leo and I have gotten wedding cake samples from an expensive bakery specializing in wedding cakes. We planned to test them along with Maya after we finished up some other wedding plans yesterday. However, when I came home from work to see Leo yelling at Maya, the box the samples came in was wide open on the living room table, and Maya was arguing with him. Oh no, I know where this is going. Let's go to red alert mode. We gotta get there. I asked what was happening, and Leo angrily told me that while we were both at work, Maya had some friends over, and they ended up eating almost all of our cake samples. You done did it. You done. I'd like to say that no cake was harmed in this story, but it's just not true. Here sat this glorious wedding cake sample, ready to be tested by a bride and groom, ready for its audition for the big day, ready to show the world what it could do. And yet, all it got was a group of wine-drunken girls giggling about how they had stumbled upon the holy grail of cake, and they just gobbled it up without a care in the world, without a plan of using it at a wedding, without a singular respect for its real intention in life. This cake was sad as it was eaten. It wept, and we wept for it. Sorry, Candy Thunder. I know that was a moment. Okay. I felt like I had to just take on the role of the cake for just a second. I was shocked and asked Maya why the hell she would do something like that. Maya said that she needed to pick me up from what she was going through with her husband and invited her friends over to comfort her, which turned into them eating cake samples after one of her friends noticed the box on our kitchen counter. I'm going to try to get through the end of the story before I lose my shit. My shock turned into anger, and Maya tried to defend herself by saying it was just cake. Ooh! It's just cake. Oh! And the cake, the remnants of what was once there, a beautiful, shiny, gorgeous piece of wedding cake prospect. Only crumbs now. Heard these words. It's just cake. And it wept once more. I told her that if it was just cake, then she should have no problem replacing it. Maya refused because the price was way too expensive for something that tasted that shitty anyway. And now, what was left of the cake hoped that the bit that she had ingested would somehow give her the runs. Leo backed me up on having Maya pay to replace it, and we argued until I said that if Maya can't cough up the money, then she'll just stay at my future mother-in-law's house, because there's no way I was having someone so disrespectful in my house. Maya thought I was bluffing until Leo repeated my sentiment and went to go pack her things in a huff. When she came back out, I handed her some cash for gas and told her to get the hell out! Presumably, after Maya got to her mom's house, my future mother-in-law called me to scold me about kicking Maya out and that I was cruel to do that to her in her time of need. Also, my future mother-in-law was also irritated that I sent Maya her way since she had let Maya into the liquor cabinet and ended up drinking some expensive whiskey that belonged to my future father-in-law, so now they're arguing about it. Okay, future mother-in-law. It's not anything about her thinking that what you did is wrong. It's that she doesn't want to have to deal with the same shit that you had to deal with, but her version of it is booze, and your version of it was cake. So, Maya's a mooch that only likes the expensive shit. Is that like a bougie mooch? Let's define that right now. What would you call a bougie mooch? Someone who only takes the fancy shit. There's got to be something specific in there. Time of need? Yeah, no, nothing about future mother-in-law's words gave a shit about Maya's time of need. It was selfishly driven. It was, please don't send her my way. Boochy. She's a booch. Yes, she's boochy and a booch. I like it. Which kind of also works bitch into there. I love it. A booch. It's it. Yeah, my future mother-in-law didn't give a shit about what Maya was going through. She just doesn't want to have to deal with it. And you see a lot of this in stories where people get pissed off because someone kicks them out, but it's not, it has nothing to do with the fact that they kick them out. It's that they don't want to have to be the one that takes them in. In this case, future mother-in-law, she's the only one who called because Maya was coming her direction. And then immediately on the heels of saying, you shouldn't have done that. Oh, and by the way, now she's in my liquor cabinet and she's taking my husband's expensive liquor. Why does she only drink single malt scotch? She's not going to pay to replace that either. No shit. Maybe you should follow my lead, future mother-in-law. Kick her out. I don't even, what was the question here? Am I the astronaut for sending my future sister-in-law to my future mother-in-law's place after she refused to pay for the wedding cake samples she and her friends ate / stole / couldn't give a shit about, said / also called just cake / also said tasted like shit / also said she had no intention of repaying it because it was too expensive, and that was before they even told her how much it cost, so she knew whenever they took that first bite that it was expensive shit and didn't care. No, you are not the asshole. At all. At all. And I love that your fiance was right there with you. Right there with you. Backed up everything you said, went and packed up her shit. I love it. Now that's the kind of signal that's like, yeah, that's my partner for life right there. That is flippin' awesome. The booch, yes. The booch is definitely an ass con one. She, not only is she an ass con one, but she just done pissed me off. Everything she said. And poor Mr. Cake Crumbs here will never know if he could have swayed that bride and groom into choosing his specific taste. He'll never know. He might as well just been thrown in the toilet. It was eaten by a bunch of booches. It's just not right. Title of this story is, Am I the astronaut for telling my husband's family they aren't allowed around my newborn anymore? Crap. I, 30 female, have a 6-week-old baby and just told my husband's entire family that they are not allowed around her until she's at least 6 to 12 months. I made this decision without my husband, and I don't feel I'm wrong at all, and I refuse to backpedal for my decisions regardless of how it makes him feel. Well, at least we know OP's stance. Long story short, both my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law came to see the baby last week, and a few days following this, the baby is sick. Super congested, fussy, puking, etc. I bring her to the doctors. She's fine, but has the upper respiratory infection. Doctors tell me to continue to breastfeed on demand, and they give her an RSV vaccination. Can they do that while she's sick? I'm not a doctor. I don't know. Seems odd, though. Well, my husband called his mom when we were leaving the doctor's, and he had her on speaker because his phone is busted and only works that way. He gives her the rundown on what's going on with the baby, and that's when she basically tells us that not only was she exposed to the flu by one of her clients, but apparently sister-in-law's husband had COVID the week prior to her coming to see the baby. Okay. You know, when it comes to kids, when it comes to bebés, you cannot risk that kind of shit. You just can't risk it. Their immune systems aren't built up yet. They're a fresh little nug in the world. Neither of them told us this when making the decision to come meet our daughter. In fact, I specifically asked them if either of them were sick or around anyone who was, and they said no. So they lied to me about it and continued their facade while at my house because my husband's other sister called while mother and sister-in-law were at my home, and I told her she couldn't come over because her daughter had the flu and I wasn't chancing it. Mother-in-law and sister-in-law heard me say this on the phone and still made out like they hadn't been exposed to anything. Needless to say, I confronted them both via phone, and I was met with, "You need to build the baby's immune system, blah, blah, blah. It's not a big deal. She will be fine," etc., etc. So I told them that neither of them were welcome here or around my daughter until she was 6 to 12 months old, if then, because they are selfish as fuck. My husband is already pissed right now. He says I'm going to isolate him and make him depressed. He has a history of depression, and that he needs his family, big family man, and that I'm selfish to do this to him right before their big family holiday celebrations, Thanksgiving and Christmas. Oh boy, you done screwing up. He just said me, and didn't have any kind of concern for the bebe. Faux pas. I basically told him I didn't care. Our daughter not becoming sick is my top priority, and his family doesn't give a f*** about that, so they aren't going to be around her. My friends also say I'm wrong because this should be my husband's decision too. Oof. Okay. Somebody poked Mama Bear. And she's going into defense mode. Obviously, her allegiance and her motherly instincts have her in protection mode over her child. I mean, obviously, you want to approach this as a team, but I think she knows what he would say here. He had the memes. You're going to make me depressed. You're going to isolate me. How could you do this to me right before holiday season? Not, hey, how's our baby, by the way? Hey, what did the doctor say about how long we should wait until we all, don't have to be like uber vigilant about people not being exposed to anything before they come see her? What did the doctor say about what age that should be? I'm fine with having that be a controlled process, but I want to make sure that we're consulting a professional, not just reacting out of emotion here. So what does the doctor recommend? No, it was, how could you do this to me? Wrong statement. I'm shocked at hubby here. If I were OP, I'd get the number from the doctor and be like, the doctor says this. And also, because you fuckers lied and you risked my baby's life by lying so you could have some kind of self-fulfillment, so my baby could fill up your cup by holding her. You risked her life doing that. Yeah, sorry. Let's talk again at 12 months, and we'll see if you've been able to surgically remove your heads from your asses by then. And also, hubby is a completely different conversation here because he does have the memes, and he doesn't get to do that anymore. I can imagine if at 6 weeks somebody pulled this shit with Navy Thunder, Mama Bear would have had the same kind of verdict here, and there's no need to consult your partner on this when it comes to the health of your child, right? And I agree with the path that she took here because either she knew what he was going to say, because she wasn't surprised by any of it, he was going to have the memes, or it is for the protection of our child, there is no choice. This is the minimum of what we need to do. This is the doctor's recommendation. There doesn't need to be a consult with your partner at that point and be like, hey, this is what the doctor says we're supposed to do. Is that okay? What? Yeah, do it. And she did it for the protection of her child. He is weak. And I have major concerns for them that extend well beyond this, well beyond the shithead family lying and showing up and risking the child's health. And again, I have to loop back to this. The respiratory infections that were happening and have been happening over the past couple of years are one of the most harmful, scary things that have been happening to babies and young children because they don't have the ability to fight them off yet. And I do remember us being at the pediatrician's office the several times after you have a fresh baby and them communicating to us that is the scary thing right now, and to make sure that we're extra vigilant because they don't have the ability to fight that off, and several of them were ending up in the hospital. So OP was trying to be hyper vigilant and people just fucking lied to her, and now she has that respiratory infection that could land this child in a hospital just because people lied, because they wanted to fill up their own cups and thought only about themselves. Mother-in-law, sister-in-law, completely selfish, shithead people. Ask on one. You don't mess around with the health of the bebe, especially when it's only for personal gain. You don't do it. You don't do it at all. And also, hubby's going to ask on one here too because of the memes. You have a 6-week-old baby. You don't get to play those fucking games anymore. You don't get to play the how are you doing this to me when on the other side of that scale is the health of your child. He's got to get his head surgically removed from his ass as well. He needs to go birth himself. And I don't know, that's not going to be an easy fix. If he's prone to depression, he's a big family person, he needs those family holiday celebrations. Well, dude, you've got your own family now. You've got your own child. You've got to find a way to become fulfilled by the family that you created here. That is where your allegiance and your first priority needs to be, not in filling up your cup by seeing mommy at holiday events. It can't be that anymore. It just can't. Maybe I'm being insensitive here, but suck it up. We're talking about the health of your child. It trumps everything else. Everything. And the people that you need so badly were willing to lie and risk the health of your child. So what does that tell you, man? OP, I feel awful for you because now you're in this situation where you're made out to be the villain because everyone else in this situation is victimizing themselves, even though they're the assholes. You're the bad guy because you're mama bear and you're in protective mode. You are not the asshole at all. You're doing the right thing. Stay vigilant. Stay mama bear mode. At this point, I would be concerned to leave the baby with your husband because he's going to try to do some stupid ass shit like invite his mommy over to see the baby when you're not there. You know what I mean? That's the vibe I get. She's got the freaking puppeteering going on here, and she's probably can get him to do whatever she wants him to do. So, I have some major concerns for the relationship as a whole. I have some, this is not going to end here. Yeah, you're not the asshole in this situation. This is not the end of this. This is going to be a lifelong battle unless you take some drastic action and wake him up somehow and convince him to do a hard pivot and to find the fulfillment that he needs that prevents his depression and fulfills the family man side of things with the family that you have right there in your house. Not an extended family kind of thing. Start creating new traditions. Start creating your new holiday events that are smaller and just have you because you have to. And he has to make it work somehow. Otherwise, this whole thing's going to fall apart. Hey, that one works. He gets that too. I can definitely see that. This is a game that he's played before, but he doesn't get to play this game anymore. They've got a kid. They've got a baby who's already been put at risk. He does not get to do this shit. It's not hard enough to be a parent to a brand new baby at all. You're not already a zombie hanging by a thread or anything like that. You also need to have some kind of pivotal, life-altering drama involved now too. That's definitely gonna go well. Also, OP, you know she's fried. You know she's just fried. Every single one of those nerves are shot. And she's like, don't with me. I have no filter at this point. I'm mama bear. I'm in protection mode. Do not with me. Am I the astronaut for making a cake that stained everyone's teeth? If it stained everyone's teeth, you know that they were all having weird colored bowel movements too. Just saying. If you ever get that blue icing from Walmart, you know what's going to happen. Everybody knows. No one likes to talk about it. I'll talk about it. My 25 female best friend Elle, 24 female, had her wedding this weekend. It was a smallish wedding with only around 50 people. Elle and I have been friends since we were 5 years old. We are more like sisters than friends. I am her maid of honor and I have helped her plan the majority of her wedding since her and her fiance are on a pretty tight budget. I love to bake cupcakes, cakes, pies, and all sorts of pastries. So when the topic of wedding cake came up during the planning process, I told Elle I would be happy to bake the desserts for the wedding. She was very grateful, and I was just happy to help. Now on to the icing incident. Elle had a beautiful outdoor ceremony, and everything was going according to plan. The reception immediately followed the ceremony, and everyone settled into their festivities. The newlyweds only took a few pictures prior to the ceremony, and they wanted to wait until after the typical wedding festivities, first dance, cake cutting, toast, etc., to take all the family pictures. Might seem a little strange, but hey, what the bride wants, the bride gets. Elle wanted a small cake for her and her fiancé to cut, and cupcakes for all the guests. She wanted a dark maroon and dark gold icing. Those were her wedding colors. She's a Gryffindor. And I was happy to oblige. The cake and cupcakes had the dark maroon icing topped with gold flowers that I made with icing. I even used edible glitter to really make the gold pop. Elle loved them, and I was pretty proud of them as well. They did the cake cutting and everyone started eating the cupcakes. After a few minutes, I watched the smile fade from Elle's face. She and her fiance, as well as several wedding guests, started to get concerned that suddenly their teeth were all in maroon color, complete with glitter. My heart sank. I'm trying to imagine what this looks like right now. It's like a grill. They had a grill, but it was like maroon, like a glittery, goldy maroon. Yeah, I can see that not going well for wedding photos. The icing that I used was apparently not coming off. Like, not at all. Elle and the other guests tried rinsing it out, wiping with napkins, trying anything to get the color off their teeth, but it wasn't working. I was horrified. Elle was now in full-blown panic. They hadn't taken any of the pictures that they wanted, and now the whole wedding party and many family members had glittery red teeth. It was horrible. I tried to calm down Elle, who was in tears. She snapped at me and blamed me for the whole thing, rightly so, and I didn't even know what to do or say. The photographer said that she could Photoshop the teeth in all the pictures, but that it would cost quite a bit more than what they had agreed upon. Elle told me that I should have to pay for it, and I didn't know what to say. They ended up taking a few more photos, many of them without their teeth showing. Why are all your wedding photos with pursed lips? I don't know. Everyone looks so sad and serious in your wedding photos. Yes. They're going for the Great Depression wedding photos. That's what they're going for. I know she's upset, but I can't afford to pay the photographer to fix the photos, and I'm not sure if I should have to. I know that the icing was the problem, but she did pick out those colors and agreed to it. She hasn't talked to me since the night of the wedding and won't return any of my calls or texts. I did get a text from the photographer asking what email to send the additional invoice to, but I haven't replied. What do I do? AITA. My point of confusion here is that nobody tested the cupcakes, anything ahead of time. Isn't it customary if you have for a wedding cake to do like a tasting ahead of time? But I guess this was not the customary route. It's not like they were ordering from a big well-known bakery or something. It was a friend made them. I would think that still someone would test them out ahead of time, even if it was the person who baked them. Like normally you would test one just to make sure it was all tasting okay and everything, right? Right? That's the only part that I'm confused about. I would assume that someone would test it in some form or fashion ahead of time, and then you would find out about the teeth staining ahead of time. But no, you're not the asshole for this. You certainly aren't liable for the extra costs included in that. It's just one of those incidental freaking freak accident things that happens. And I say accident because it was an accident. It's one of those freak things that happen during a wedding. Things are bound to happen. It's just one of those things. And as, you know, as a photographer and having plenty of hours logged into Lightroom and Photoshop, I can tell you, yes, that definitely would take a lot more time. However, with AI tools now, they're being incorporated into those things and it makes it a hell of a lot faster, but still there is extra time. It was her choice to do the photos after eating, and that was probably the big bonehead move here. And you, OP, you didn't have any control over that. NTA, though, it sucks. I understand why the bride's in it, throwing a fit about it, but I also don't get an indication in this story that she paid you for what you were doing. So you just offered to do it and you did it of your own free will. If she's going to invoice you for photo stuff, invoice her for the cake. All's fair. That's where I'm at.